Very much, John. To begin with, I want to answer the question which I'm sure is on most of your minds, and that is, what is it like going through life with the name Richard Nixon? I can tell you it's a lot better than my old name, Bill Clinton. Not only do I have the misfortune of having the name Richard Nixon, I also am the butt, of course, of lots of lawyer jokes. And my brother, who's a doctor, is always calling me to tell me the latest lawyer's joke that he's heard, and I'm sure you'll enjoy this. He said, Richard, we're starting to use lawyers for our experiments rather than rats. And I said, Bruce, why is that? And he said, well, there's three reasons. First of all, there's far more lawyers than there are rats. Secondly, we were finding that some of our researchers were getting emotionally attached to their rats, but you can't get emotionally attached to a lawyer. But finally, and most importantly, we were finding that there were some things that rats just wouldn't do. So I want you to sit back and look at this from your perspective as chiefs of police or deputy chiefs of police. And if you're not in that role, if you're on a police services board, to look at, to think about what I'm going to be talking to you about from the perspective of entering into agreements with police chiefs or deputy police chiefs. To begin with, there's no question that chiefs and deputy chiefs can enter into and routinely do employment agreements with municipal police services boards. In Ontario, there's a specific right on the part of police services boards to enter into employment agreements with chiefs of police, deputy chiefs of police. That's clearly set out in the Police Services Act. So there's no doubt about that. There's also no doubt that police services boards and chiefs of police, deputy chiefs of police can enter into employment agreements establishing many terms and conditions of employment, provided that those terms and conditions of employment comply with or are not inconsistent with the Police Services Act. And I think that's the case from the cases that I've read across the country, the same. So, for example, nothing to stop a chief and a police services board from saying, I will begin working for this police services board on a particular date. Nothing to stop the parties from agreeing to a base salary of whatever. Nothing to stop the parties from agreeing to salary increases. And you can see in the employment agreements that I've seen that sometimes the employment agreements provide for a regular stipulated percentage increase in the chief's salary, and sometimes it's tied to, increases are tied to the cost of living increases. Sometimes they're tied to increases given to police officers represented by a trade union. Nothing to stop that at all. Another area where employment agreements between chiefs and deputy chiefs and police services boards